Well, there it goes. Well, you are.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the Planning Commission for Tuesday, March the 5th, 2024 at 6:34 p.m. Could I get Commissioner Pietro to lead the pledge of allegiance?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson Jamil Zainab,
Present.
Vice Chair Devon Wavery,
Present.
Commissioners Jose Delgado,
Here.
Commissioner Daisy Perez,
Present.
Commissioner Jane Perez, she's absent tonight. Was she notified or her absence?
No.
Thank you.
Correct Director.
The record has been corrected. We'll give her a moment just to take her seat. You're welcome. Commissioner Jane Perez.
Present.
Thank you. Reporting on posting, ISD Washington Senior Secretary certified that a true and correct copy of the foregoing minute agenda is properly posted on February 29th, 2024, 72 hours prior to the scheduled meeting as required by law. Meeting compensation disclosure pursuant to Government Code Section 54952.3, disclosure of compensation for meeting attendance by the Planning Commission is $125 per meeting. We're now ready for open session items. Item number 1, the Planning Commission will consider approving minutes for regular Planning Commission meeting of January the 16th, 2024. Chair.
Motion to approve the minutes
I
from January the 16th, 2024. Second.
So, who make the motion? Deborah.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Jenny Perez.
I believe I have to abstain. Correct?
You will.
You can vote even if you print out the meeting as long as you trust that people prepared, staff prepared.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Commissioner Daisy Perez. Commissioner Jose Delgado. Vice Chair Devon Wavery.
Yes.
And Chair Jamil Zainab.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Item number 2, request for continuance, proposed ZCA 176-5037, Patata Street, amending the city zoning code by modifying Title 11, Chapter 11.21 of the South Gate Municipal Code to relax or remove restrictions on the size of the warehouses authorized in the city's mixed-use zones and commercial industrial zones.
Any comments from staff?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, Council. Planning Commissioners. The item before you, the applicant actually requested for an extension of time, and we would like the Planning Commissioners to schedule this to a date certain, which is April 16, 2024. Thank you.
Need a motion? For continuance?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Commissioner- Thank you. Commissioner Jean Perez,
Yes.
Commissioner Daisy Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Jose Delgado,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ronald Whitman,
Yes.
and Chairperson Janelle Zeta.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Item number 3, the planning commission is conducting a public hearing to consider a request to operate a drive-through for the 1,200 square foot take-out only Starbucks. Our presenter.
Good evening, planning commissioners. My name is Joshua Valdez, contract planner, here to present CUP number 23-32. Next slide, please. So the request is brought by property developer Ryan Shea to construct a 1,200 square foot takeout only building pad cafe with a drive-through located at 9501 Atlantic Avenue. Next slide, please. Per land use table 11.21-3, labeled allowed land uses, urban mixed use zones, a conditional use permit is required to establish a drive-through in the city's corridor 2 zone. Next slide, please. So this is the vicinity map. The site is currently on the corner of Atlantic Avenue and Southern Avenue. The project site is currently developed with 2 commercial buildings and an office building, which are being currently used for auto repair services. The proposed project will demolish the existing structures and erect a new 1,200 square foot building pad for drive-through pickup only. Operational hours for this Starbucks will be from 4:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. daily. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed site plan showing where the building pad will be and the driveway queuing stack. We'll just take a minute here for you guys to look at the site plan. As well as the public. Next slide, please. So these are the northern elevations that would be visible off of Southern Avenue. Next slide, please. These are the eastern elevations that would be visible off of Atlantic Avenue, so as you're driving by. Next slide, please. These are the southern elevations, which you will see as you pull in for the drive-through. Next slide, please. Again, the western elevations, which would be your view if you were waiting to pick up the order from the drive-through. Next slide, please. So staff recommends that Planning Commission approve a request for determination that the project is exempt from California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to section 15303 under Class 3. Adopt the findings as outlined in resolution number 2024-01 and approve conditions of approval for conditional use permit number 23-32 as contained in resolution number 24-01. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, I just wanted to let you know that the applicant is also out here in the audience. Will you be presenting anything or?
Yeah, I'd like to. Thanks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission. Thanks for allowing me a few minutes to speak more about the project. My name is Ryan Shea, Cal Bay Development based in El Segundo, California. I'm a property developer for Starbucks. I specialize in redevelopment of corners like this all throughout Southern California with major national tenants such as Starbucks. This site was identified in conjunction with myself and Starbucks as filling an additional hole for them as far as their continued expansion and placement of stores that they're looking for. Specifically, this one was targeted due to its ability to relieve pressure off of the very busy Starbucks store by the Azalea project. So the intent here, as discussed, is to demolish the existing improvements, which from my research shows they've been there since about the 1940s, plus or minus. So the intent is they're kind of at the end of their useful life. So the intent is to demolish that, build a 1,200 square foot Starbucks building for drive-through pickup only. We're planning to build it out on the edge of the street, as was shown on this on the site plan. The size is 1,200 square feet, as mentioned, which is down from the existing square footage on the site of about 4,107. So there's going to be less square footage there built than there is today. There is 9 parking stalls proposed, whereas the code requires 6, so they'll be overparked by 3 stalls. The drive-through queuing, the primary stack is up to 8 cars, and there's also room on site to overflow by 3 cars up to 11, which is, and with respect to the traffic study, showed that that is enough to accommodate what is projected to be the peak stack, with about two spaces extra. The building design, I'm not sure if you were able to see on the screen, but it's sort of a mid-century modern design with, we provided the material and color board, and you can see that it's got kind of metal canopies, it's got very high quality materials, it's got an art screen, like an artwork screen along the eastern elevation, along Atlantic, which is pretty cool. They don't do those in not all Starbucks have, but I think that's a pretty unique feature of this design that we came up with. There is a patio space on the southern side of the building, although, as mentioned, this is really a drive-through pickup on the location. There is very generous landscaping on this site plan as shown, 6,200 square feet approximately, which is about 43% of the total site. Yeah, I guess maybe the site plan would be the best one to look at here. Yeah, so we're at about 6,200 square feet of landscaping on this. And you can see as we built it out to the edge of the street, it creates the maximum buffer and placement away from the residential on the western edge of the site. We're excited about this project. It represents a substantial investment into this corner. It's probably about $2.8 million of construction value being placed onto this site on top of the land value and everything else. It looks to be. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of new buildings built at this intersection, so I think it's going to be really, really great to have this nice new modern building built here to the highest quality standards. We have agreed with mitigations that were set forth, which will benefit the city, namely a dedication along Atlantic, which is 15 feet 5 inches. We agreed to that, and that will be landscaped and available for eventual future street widening. So it's consistent with the general plan for the ultimate right-of-way there. We've also agreed to some off-site improvements, such as there's a grind and overlay of Atlantic Avenue and Southern Avenue at the center line. We are redoing the sidewalks. We are striping all of the crosswalks, so that'll all be redone. What else can I say? As far as access to the site, we are proposing to close the curb cut on Southern, close one of the curb cuts on Atlantic, and kind of modify. It's shown as a new curb cut there on the southern end of the Atlantic frontage. There's already one there, but it's kind of modified and brought to current standards. So all traffic will in and out of the one curb cut on Atlantic. And that was, after a lot of site plan iteration, we deemed that to be the best configuration for this drive-through, is just to have no access at all on Southern. So this will just be a right in, right out on Atlantic. I think that covers everything that I wanted to highlight on this. We've worked out all of the conditions of approval with staff. We agreed to them all, and we're very excited about this. This is a location Starbucks we're excited about. Would be a great amenity to the South Gate Park next door. It would relieve pressure and traffic off of the store near Azalea, which I know is I've heard has caused some problems. So we think this is kind of a win-win in that respect. So happy to answer any other questions or clarifications about the project.
Thank you very much. We're going to open it up to public comment, and then if we have my colleagues have questions,
Just call me back.
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much. Opening up to public comment?
The audience can hear us. They can hear us, but we just want to make sure that it's amplified. We're good? Thank you.
Any public comment? Okay, thank you. Colleagues? Oh, close the public comment. I think we don't have Zoom now, so open it up to my colleagues.
I have a question. You mentioned there's 3 entrances, or 2 of them will be closed, the driveways. Can you go back to that?
Yep.
So,
You want me to describe the current condition?
yes.
Yeah. So like a lot of these little sites are all around Southern California, there's like these old curb cuts that are very close to the corner, which typically aren't allowed anymore, but a lot of them are grandfathered in. So there's one really close to where the streets intersect. We're proposing to close that. There is an existing, that is mislabeled, Atlantic's the North-South Street. I believe those streets the labels are reversed. But the Atlantic Avenue, there is a southern curb, I say southern, like southernmost curb cut on Atlantic, but it's not to like the current, not in the right spot, not the correct width, so we're bringing that to the correct width and where we need it to be. And then there is one on Southern Avenue, East-West Street, which we're proposing to close.
So there will just be one entrance, one exit
Yeah, right in,
off
right-
of Atlantic?
Yeah, right in, right out. Yep.
And another question I have is, this is only drive-through? There's
Correct.
no walk-up window?
Correct, that's how it's proposed to operate at this time, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, you said no walk-up.
Correct.
Question for staff. I've been to a few Starbucks in my lifetime. Very popular. A lot of, just not just foot traffic, but obviously automobiles. And it sounds like this one is meant to relieve sort of the pressure from the one on Firestone across from Azalea. I've been to that one. It's pretty gnarly. I hate to admit this publicly, but I'm sure I've double parked there a few times to get my cup of coffee in the mornings. And while it sounds like they're trying to limit the egress and exit, entrance and exit of this particular site, that might cause some issues on Atlantic, spilling over to Southern. That's my concern, the traffic in that area. And speaking to some of the residents around that neighborhood, while they love their morning coffee also, they're more concerned about the traffic issues that are happening there. Can staff sort of expand on that? Any things that they've considered in terms of traffic?
Yes, that was also my biggest concern when speaking with Public Works, our traffic engineer. And, I made sure that that's addressed. His comment was that traffic impact analysis was done for the entire neighborhood, and also that there's enough queuing on site that would hopefully alleviate that concern on Atlantic. Because I was also concerned with that, because we do have additional development happening down Atlantic, where we have a potential car wash opening on Atlantic, and then again, concerns with Amazon traffic going in and out of that neighborhood. So I made sure that our traffic engineer, when assessing traffic impact going in and out of this facility, was addressed. He did make sure, and he did confirm that that was assessed in the traffic impact analysis, and that the queuing on site along with just that one driveway on Atlantic will alleviate that concern.
The other fear, and again, I've seen this firsthand, especially on the Firestone site, is that folks will park, at least in this situation, may park across the street. I think there's a Chinese food restaurant across the street. And so I'm assuming that won't be an issue because there's no walk-up, right? Would there be any plans on changing that in the future? Could that change?
I can't speak for Starbucks on
You're
that.
going to have to.
Can't speak for Starbucks on that. I mean, they choose to operate each store case-by-case basis, and so as, right now, they really want this to be drive-through pickup only. And again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but it really is to alleviate Azalea. I mean, this is a very good corner too, but I mean, that's across from the dominant shopping center in the whole city, right? And so Starbucks, there's other tenants like this, like Raising Cane's, for example. Chick-fil-A have had major queuing problems, especially for their first few stores. People drive from so far, right? But as they fill more stores in, it relieves pressures off all of them. And so that's definitely what this store is meant to do.
I know you're not operations, you're on the front end, but any suggestions or insight as to whether or not Starbucks plans to use like line breakers for queuing? So like people taking your order like an In-N-Out or some of the other sort of fast food restaurants.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't always tell me that on the operational side, I'm on the real estate side, but I know they have in some cases, but I can't
Sure.
really speak to that here.
And again, if anything changes in terms of their operations, they would have to inform staff. That's a change in their conditional use permit. If you were to approve this tonight, that means they'll be changing the way they operate. We can always bring them back. In addition to that, as part of your condition, there is a condition that states that if there is any impact to queuing on adjacent streets, that staff has the right to bring them back, or again, for you to review the project. So that's part of the conditions of approval, because just in case, we've anticipated these problems that could occur, even though we did an extensive traffic impact analysis, that could still occur depending on what happens in the future. So we do have that, as part of our condition of approval.
Quick follow-up on that. Quick follow-up on that. So what steps would you be able to take to mitigate that if something comes up in the future? The reason I mention that is because there have been other developments in the city that have been approved with that same understanding that it's not impacting the community. Traffic studies have been, looked at. Results show that it's not going to impact. 2 months into ribbon cutting of the location, it's a disaster for the community. That happened with Raising Cane's, and that never was addressed. So how do we make sure, give us the assurance that that's not going to happen?
Yeah,
in this case?
like I said, it's part of the conditions of approval. And I think with almost every opening of a new store, especially in the city, you're always going to have this, increase in traffic to that area, right? Because it's new. And then it subsides. But then months later, let's say it continues in terms of, this increase and this peak, and it never subsides. We, as staff members, we can always inform the applicant that, it sounds like, or it looks like, per our observance of whatever's happening operationally on site, that there's actually this impact to the adjacent streets. So we can ask the applicant to then do an additional traffic impact study. And Public Works will be the one to initiate that. And again, it's in the condition of approval. It's what they'll be signing on to if you approve this project.
What are the hours of operation again?
I mean, they like to have the flexibility as broad as they can. They ask for 4:30 to midnight. In reality, I doubt it'll be that, but it's we're required to ask for the flexibility. It
Sure.
would probably operate like
Is it in yours?
most normal,
Sure.
most other Starbucks in the area, is what I would guess.
It's just for the colleagues, I'm thinking like the school around the corner, usually coffee runs are in the morning, right? Okay, so we have, again, some distance, but we also have residents who are going to work in the morning around the corner in those apartment complexes, multifamily units. Across the street, tucked in by right before the fire department, more multifamily units. Again, not to take away from what we're trying to bring into the city, because I wholeheartedly agree. Like that corner, that intersection needs some like a nice facelift, and I think this would do that. I personally can't get over like the potential for traffic issues in that particular corner. That's given me some pause.
Yeah, I do. I will say that we had to go round and round a few times on modifying our traffic scope. In fact, after we did initial, we had to go back and revise, add in a study of other Starbucks like of this configuration and size. So there was pretty deep analysis that went into this. I work on lots of Starbucks deals. These traffic studies don't always come out saying what this one says. Sometimes it's like, hey, you need 14 cars and you can only fit 7. But this one, after a lot of scrutiny, determined that the peak is likely to be 9, the absolute peak. We have room for 11 here, So they don't, in the Raising Cane's projects, unfortunately, are giving drive-throughs a bad name because they're kind of still new. There's not that many of them yet, so people drive from a long way to go there, and a lot of these sites aren't big enough. Starbucks is a much more mature brand. It's spread out. People don't have to drive as far to find one, so I think that's why the study came out the way it did, to show 9 at the absolute peak they would need for the queue.
Great, thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
And just to clarify, the hours are from 4:30 a.m. to 12 a.m.
So I'm glad that Commissioner Delgado brought this up. I wish we would have had a more zoomed out map, because that intersection is a little bit funky. For those of you that have driven, I drive through that intersection all the time. So there's a stop sign over on on this side, and then another one coming from Southern. So it is a little wonky. So I'm not surprised that the traffic study was a little bit more difficult. So when it comes to the location at the Azalea, how many cars do you usually see lined up during peak hours? Do we have that information?
I don't have that one. I'm not involved in that project, but I didn't ask
Okay.
Starbucks that question.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the same concern, because it is such a difficult intersection where you have 2 stop signs over on the west side, off of Southern. Whether or not, like if somebody's at that first stop sign that's coming from Pinehurst, right, which is where the school is, are people going to get stuck there, right? If they're waiting to make a right over here on Atlantic so that they could enter the Starbucks. I imagine that could potentially happen.
Stuck at the traffic light at Southern and Atlantic?
No, stuck at the stop sign before the light. So there's a stop sign over on the west side. So when you're coming off of Pinehurst to make a right onto Southern, there's 2 stop signs that are like this. And so you have one car coming this way, and they kind of merge to come onto Southern, and that takes you to Atlantic. So I could see that. So I wish we would have had like a different view so we could see those 2 stop signs.
I don't know if that specific intersection was studied, but I know the second round of traffic study we did expand to study other nearby intersections. I don't know if you have those, Joshua, but I mean, the traffic study was required to study other intersections, not just this one.
Yeah.
I don't know what specifically that issue.
Yeah, because this one is not your typical, it's not a
Yeah.
it's not a 4-way, it's more like,
Okay.
it's a 3-way intersection, which is kind of a little bit different. The other concern is the fact that can you tell me where people are going to be placing their orders?
Yeah,
it-
this should be on there. Let me just see if I got a copy here. It's right up, it's basically at the, after car 6.
If we would have,
Okay.
if we could see, if that could be zoomed in so we can have a better picture to the flow.
So the reason that I asked that is because there are apartments there, right? And if we're talking, having hours as early as 4:30 a.m., and then, hours as late as, midnight, I would imagine that it's pretty loud when people are placing their orders from their cars, from, the noise coming from the speaker, the person who's ordering, right? And
Yeah,
then there's a lot of light that comes from those ordering kiosks as well. I know that building right next to it happens to be a 2-story building.
Are you able to go to the site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, with respect to the light issue, I mean, it should all be angled away, facing east. we get the site plan exhibit, I can show you.
If it's facing
No,
east, then it's facing the apartments.
So as part of their conditions of approval.
I thought you were talking about the apartments on the west side of,
There's only apartments on the east side. The rest is all street, it's just Southern and Atlantic, and then there's just business behind on the.
West, the apartments are on the
I'm
west.
sorry, west, yes.
On the
facing
west.
this way.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, with respect to the noise issue,
So-
we get this question a lot, but I mean, the technology's come a long way on that. It's not like the old squawk boxes you get at a Carl's Jr. or Del Taco. They're much quieter, because this issue comes up all the time. I don't have, like, the technical decibel answer for you on that one. I could get it, but we're not like, reusing an old one. This is like brand-new, latest technology, very, very quiet, but I don't have any more specifics for you on that.
So to interject, there are conditions, or there are verbiage in their conditions of approval that address brightness and noise. Specifically, condition 3, and I just saw it. There's one other condition on here that addresses amplified sound and lighting as it corresponds to the adjacent residential zone. So there are conditions that they would meet standards so that it's not to obscure,
Yep.
bother those residents.
Yeah, and Starbucks operations reviewed this, and I was fine with that condition.
Would you be able to elaborate on that, what those conditions would consist of to mitigate light or sound? I mean,
Yes.
the multi-unit complex, that's, all the windows are facing the proposed development. So I think that would be
Just
helpful.
read the condition verbatim so that they.
Yeah, so in Exhibit B, Condition 3, reads, "Service windows with amplified sound shall be regulated to be consistent with South Gate Municipal Code, Chapter 11.34, Sound Noise Control Program." And so in that section, there lists certain amount of decimals that you're allowed to reach at certain periods of the day. And then Condition 4 is digital order screens shall be calibrated as to screen brightness and speaker volume to a level so as to not disturb adjacent residential properties.
Yeah, so that's the intersection I was talking about. So you have people coming in from, if you can get maybe squeeze it a little bit more, but you have people coming off of Pinehurst, right there in the morning, and like Commissioner Delgado said, my niece used to go to that school and it was always packed. And then you have people coming in from Southern, but there's 2 stop signs. There's one stop sign on Pinehurst and Southern. There's another stop sign on, on the other side of that little triangle. So there's 2 stop signs, and they merge. There's nowhere else for people to go coming in from Pinehurst who are making a right to Southern. You're essentially going to get stuck there if you have cars stacked, waiting to make a right on Atlantic.
Yeah, but I mean, the traffic study shows that it wouldn't be more than 9, and the site holds 11, so I don't see how, if you just go by the analysis, I don't see how that would happen. How would it stack
Okay,
up?
yeah, no, I mean, but that's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
just-
oh, okay, I hear you. Okay.
Any other comments, colleagues?
Can we go back to, what was it, to the one that had I think it was the second slide of how it's gonna, where the changes, no, go back, yeah, there you go, hold on a second. So So on the side next to where those apartments, I used to live there, by the way, a long time ago.
Oh, you did?
I actually did. The apartments right there. Is there gonna be like a wall or something that
Yep.
will, okay,
Yeah, 5 foot, there's going to be a 5 foot landscape buffer plus a block wall over there,
No.
yes.
so the two-story, so this is how, so I lived, so where I used to live, it's a one-story. And it's like 4 of them, studios. Then in the same property, was the same property, then you have a second-story one, which is only 2 apartments on the bottom, 2 apartments on the top. Then after that, it's where there's more apartments. So the only ones that I don't know if they've done any upgrades to the apartments, but the studios that are right, were next to where they're planning on doing the construction, they have, each apartment has about 2 windows. Let's see. And with you said a 5-foot,
Yeah,
brick?
5
Is it
foot.
gonna be brick?
I
Or-
need to double check that. I think it's a block wall. I mean, one thing I would point out is if you look at the current condition, there's an automotive repair shop on the 0 lot line right there. So
Yeah.
If anything, I kind of feel like this is, from a placement of the building, it's an upgrade for them, because, I mean, it's literally on the property line.
Well, I
They're doing-
remember, I mean, I remember listening to, like,
Oh,
hearing
they
them
do tires,
working
so
on
they're
the
doing
tires. Yeah, I remember hearing that every morning.
That's building
That's
right
why I'm
there.
asking what type of wall's gonna go up, because the wall, the type of wall that's gonna go makes a big difference. If you put a wooden wall, with fancy plants and stuff, well, obviously, that's not gonna minimize the noise to the residents next door. But if it's a brick wall.
Yeah, block wall
or
is the
block wall.
plan, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and you said 5 feet, right?
The height, I don't know, I don't recall the exact height of the wall, but there's a 5-foot landscape.
Isn't it usually 6 that we allow? The 6
Yeah,
foot?
whatever the standard is, yep.
Yeah, the highest is 6 foot. Okay, thank you.
Meredith, quick question. I know that this is supposed to be sort of a drive-through only, but as a business, provides a service, are they by code mandated to have X amount of parking permit or spots?
Yes.
How many?
I believe they're required to have 6.
6.
Yes.
But they have none.
Let me caveat that, because with AB 2097, if they're near a bus stop within a half-a-mile radius, we are no longer required to provide, or they are no longer required to provide parking, so they can actually be at 0. But they are providing 9, is it 9
Nine, yeah.
spaces?
Yeah, they said nine.
And that is, again, you're not an operations guy, but those 9 stalls are for employees?
Employees, and the only other thing I can, the other thing I can think of is, let's say, for example, someone had like a really special order and wasn't quite ready, maybe they say, hey, pull
Sure.
over there and we'll run it out to your car.
Sure. And I'm thinking, again, I'm asking you all these operation questions because I know you're the operations guy. 1,200 square foot project. Any colleagues, any indication how big the one on Firestone is? About the same, maybe smaller?
I think it's
It's smaller.
it's a tad
And don't
smaller.
they have one in, one out, also entrance? Like for the Starbucks on Firestone?
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, like, how many employees per, right? Something like 4, 5. So what I'm getting at is the parking allocations may not mirror what the employee staff is. So I'm going nowhere with this, but I'm just thinking out loud. So, but you've answered my question. Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Prieto.
Meredith, I have a question. Do we know at the light on Atlantic and, what is that, Southern, is there a arrow, or can you do a U-turn there? Do we know?
On Atlantic,
Right there,
going
right,
northbound.
There's no U-turns on Atlantic and Southern.
you
it's
can't
a-
make
you
a
could-
U-turn there, or?
No, it says only left turns, right turn, like only left turns, but
I don't
I've
know.
never seen a U-turn, there's no U-turn.
So Atlantic going north to make a left turn, can you make a U-turn there, or is there an arrow to make a left? Do we know? No U-turn.
No U-turn. No, you can't. On Atlantic and Southern, there's no
No,
light
but it's
has a
concerning
U-turn.
because then
No.
they'll still do it if there's a,
It says,
it has it up there, it's just
there's no
turn,
U-turn.
no U-turn.
Or I don't know if they would go into the Chucks
And then come
out.
back, yeah.
Is there a way for them to enter Chucks and then come back out?
Well, if they choose to. I mean, but that's going to be up to the drivers.
Meaning you go westbound on Southern and then make a U-turn to come back south?
No,
Go
like,
through if they.
Go through Chucks and then come back out?
Yeah, so make a left.
that's,
Make a left on
I
Southern
mean,
and
that's
going north.
illegal,
Yeah.
but they always have that option, I guess.
yeah, that's up to us behind the wheel.
Any comments from staff regarding any reservations that have been expressed by the commissioners?
Again, whether this is approved or not tonight, I believe we're going to have the same analysis done in regards to traffic study. Like the applicant mentioned, they did have a traffic impact analysis done already, and I went to Public Works just to make sure that they've covered the entire area. It was confirmed to me by Jose Luera, a traffic engineer, that they did take a look at a much larger radius just because of what's going on in the community today with Amazon and other projects that may be coming before you. One of the concerns that I had was also in regards to Amazon's parking lot that's on Atlantic. And he said that all the impacts, at least coming from this particular proposed use, have been analyzed, and that he saw no problems, this is according to our traffic engineer, that'll stem from this proposed use. But then again, I just want to, emphasize again that if we do observe or realize some type of impact on the adjacent streets, we do have the right to bring back this applicant and ask them to conduct additional traffic impact study based on the current condition once we see that delta, once the use is in operation.
And based off of your experience, I kind of go back to the initial question is how do you mitigate that if after the fact, right? Like if there's already issues, you go back, yes, you run another traffic study. What do you do at that point when you already have this level of investment?
They close the facility because they're not meeting their conditions of approval.
Thank you. No additional comments, colleagues? Okay. Call for a motion?
I'll call for a motion to get votes on the record. So I call a motion to, what is it? A motion to consider a request as outlined by staff. I move.
Second?
My voice is so loud. Roll call for Commissioner Jenny Perez,
Yes.
Commissioner Daisy Pareto,
Yes.
Commissioner Jose Delgado,
No.
Vice Chair Giovanna Labrin,
Yes.
and Chairperson Jamil Zeta.
No.
Motion passes 3 in favor, 2 opposed.
Thank you very much. Now moving on to public comments. Any public comments? No? See none? Staff?
Staff comments. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to remind our commissioners that we do have the Planning Academy starting tomorrow, and it is until Friday. If you have any questions, please feel free to, call us. I don't know if you have my cell phone number, but I'll go ahead and provide that to you as well. If you have any questions, please don't forget to keep your receipts for reimbursements, and then enjoy the academy, and I hope you'll learn a lot of things that'll help us. We have a couple of big projects coming up. I think that this academy will help you become more familiar with our process in planning. So hopefully it helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on.
A few questions. So it sounds like maybe this is more for Craig. The Zoom option was eliminated during council, or can you just walk me through what happened? I'm getting a few messages from folks who were unaware of the inability to call in on Zoom. I think folks were relying on that or were used to doing that, and so they were caught off a little off guard. And so I'm getting quite a bit of messages on my phone.
It was agendized as an in-person only meeting. I think a lot of people got used to the convenience of being able to dial in or come in by Zoom. That really was an accommodation, made by the state for, COVID when everybody was isolated. Perhaps there could have been a greater amount of advance notice of this. I don't know if they mentioned it at the city council meeting because I wasn't at that meeting, but I know it was, properly agendized as far as the state law concerns, so that unfortunately those who wanted to join by Zoom and didn't notice that couldn't do that, but hopefully they will travel down to City Hall next time and be here in the audience in person.
Okay. So that was sort of it was a unilateral decision by the city to just kind of.
I think the city, as you know, there have been problems with the Zoom feeds in the past. And I think the city probably decided that as far as for government efficiency, it probably was best to return to the tried and true ways of having everyone in the audience and look you guys in the eyes and ask the questions.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Announcements?
I just want to welcome Commissioner Pettis back to the Planning Commission, which just when you thought you wanted to get away, there you go. You tried getting out, but you keep coming back. So welcome back. Happy to be serving alongside you again.
The more you try to run, you just can't. So I want to invite the staff and my colleagues. This is always the fun moment for us at the JA, where May 4th will be our opening day. It's just the best part is opening day here with the JA and stuff. And I'm very proud and very honored to be a part of this group. We're all volunteers, and we get off of work and we're running there. So to see these happy faces, and this time we're going to have more activities for them after the ceremony. So I'm hoping you guys could come check it out and stuff and see exactly what these great volunteers do for our youth at South Gate Park. Hey, I don't even know who did it last year? I forgot if it was Maria or Al. Maybe you could do it next time. You could do it this time, actually.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for my colleagues for your commitment to our city. On that note, welcome. We're glad to have you back. It was a pleasure meeting you. And we'll adjourn the Planning Commission meeting at 7:23 p.m. Thank you.
We'll be on you in 7 days.